Hey, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Catholic Talk Show. Today, we're going to be talking about American Catholic sites that you must go to.
That's right. We're going to go all across the country and talk about beautiful places of pilgrimage in the United States of America that anyone can go to.
Let's hit the road.
All right, another episode. Father Tetler, thanks for joining us.
Wonderful to be here.
I think this is kind of a well overdue show. There are a lot of really awesome places. Some we've been to, some we haven't that we want to go to. So by the end of this episode, you're going to have the lay of the land for Catholic exploration of your spirituality.
Yeah, not a lot of people think, hey, I want to go on a pilgrimage. Sweet, let's go to a trip to America. That's not really something that's in your mind, but when you look at it, I mean, the United States is so big, and there's such a deep, rich history of faith here in the States that there's a lot of great sites that probably are in your backyard that you've never even heard about.
Yeah.
So we want to share some of those with you today. So, you know, as we're nearing summer and you want to start planning your vacations, you might find somewhere that you might be able to work into your trip, or you might find a day trip or a weekend trip out of this that you can take yourself and your family, or find a nice place of retreat and prayer.
Yeah, speaking of sites, the YouTube site's a really good site. It has our show on it. You should click the follow and like button and the bell. And then that helps us get to more people. So you'd be helping our show get out to more people on YouTube. If you're considering helping our show out financially, you can go to patreon.com/Catholic Talk Show.
CatholicTalkShow.com/Patreon.
Yeah, that too. And then, you'll see all the different ways you can support us and the swag that we've got to send you. The swag or swag? Swag.
Swag has the connotation of bad weed. Swag is stuff.
That was a Freudian slip, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we're not giving you swag.
Swag. No swag.
Only the Dinkus buds for our followers.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, it's free.
So, Father Tadlow, we all know that you're 969 years old, right? And
I've been around for a while.
A little bit. But you're not actually...
A minute. I've been around for a minute.
You weren't actually born in the United States.
No. I was born in England.
Yeah.
And came over here when I was 5 years old. Mm-hmm. And moved to Connecticut. And then my daddy brought us to Florida, where I've been burning up ever since. And I'm in this horrible heat.
Yeah, I think there's a reason that the Spanish came to Florida first. They may be a little bit more suited for it.
Yeah.
So did your family come here for the right pilgrimage scene?
We came here. My dad was looking for a job. He didn't. My family was not much into the pilgrimage scenes at that point.
Yeah.
But,
because there really wasn't one in America.
No, there wasn't one.
Yeah.
I mean, Our Lady of La Leche has been for a while, all the way back to when I was a child. Women would come there, and they couldn't have a child.
Yeah.
So,
and there's been many
miracles
that have come out of there, where women have conceived after going to praying there at the shrine.
That's here in St. Augustine,
That's
right
in
across the
St.
street
Augustine,
from
Florida.
the cathedral.
Absolutely.
yeah, so the reason that we wanted to do this episode is because you're the rector of a very popular kind of tourist location, which is the Cathedral of St. Augustine. So you've got tourists and vacationers coming through there all the time, probably half or more of your traffic, right?
Right, about 50-50.
50-50, which is a unique situation for a Catholic church.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
So you have a unique insight as to why people are visiting these sites, but we want to share a bunch of these sites. So why don't we start our trip right here in the oldest diocese in the United States?
Sure.
Well, it's not the oldest diocese, but it's the oldest
Catholic settlement.
in the United States. I think the oldest diocese
1565.
diocese is Baltimore.
Well, we fight with them a little bit on that.
Yeah, a little bit.
But yeah.
So
There's no St. Augustine catechism.
tell us a little bit about your church and then the mission grounds across the street, because I think that's the first site in America that we want to talk about because it has like the oldest pedigree.
Yeah. Well, our church, we have a lot of people coming from Spain because our roots are Spanish. As a matter of fact, our sister city is Áviles, and we stay close with them. As a matter of fact, the church in St. Augustine has just become the first Camino spot in the United States of America to connect to the Camino that goes to Santiago de Compostela.
Very cool.
So we just became that one. We're the only one in the States. And you can actually come to our church and get a stamp saying that you're starting your Camino there.
Wow.
We also have something called the Baby Steps Camino, where you can walk 35 miles and then get a stamp. And then you can use that to cash in when you go to Santiago de Compostela. You don't have to walk as many miles because you've walked here.
Mm-hmm. Isn't that on the beach?
Yeah.
35 miles on the beach is like 2,000 on regular ground. Walking on sand is terrible.
It's very, very hard. It takes. We do a 3-day deal during December.
That would be cool to do.
That's
so
tough,
with some of our listeners.
It's phenomenal. We have a lot of, and we have a lot of people coming from Spain. We are now connected through St. James. The Spanish created a statue for us that now we parade around the streets of St. Augustine for the Feast of St. James, which is the 25th of July every year. But we have people coming from Central America. It's basically South America, Central America, Spain, people with Spanish roots, good Catholic people who want to look at the oldest cathedral in the United States.
And the oldest priest in the United States.
And well, they dug me up for this.
And they come there and they see a British guy.
Now I get why the bishop put you in there. They're like, let's take the oldest priest and put him in the oldest church.
Absolutely. The oldest priest with the youngest spirit.
That's right. Amen.
So
Amen.
it's just a beautiful spot. And every week I spend, after Mass, I spend 30 to 45 minutes at the back of Mass blessing articles, or, we brought our daughter here because she's getting married. We want to have her blessed here.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Yeah. So all of the priests there do that.
And that's great because you're such an outgoing guy.
Yeah,
like
Father
it's
Mac
like
does
right
it,
up
Father
your
Ignatius.
alley.
Yeah, everybody loves it. So
Yeah.
I feel like I wake up in Spain every morning there. You've got to come and visit St. Augustine, Florida. It's a very, very powerful place. We're right in the middle, but everything else is great history.
Yeah, and
dating all the way back to 1565.
Yeah, and the old quarter there, it's a lot of fun, man. If you're
I was about to
there's
say
a lot of great bars and restaurants and stuff to do, shops.
Yeah, Father Tetlow's a regular out there on the streets.
Plus, it's also recognized by one of the main magazines as the honeymoon capital of the world. So
It's a beautiful place.
Now, here's a place that you and I went to that I thought really blew my mind because I'd never heard of it before, is that church in Washington, D.C. that mimics the Holy Land.
Yeah.
You remember that place?
The monastery.
Yeah.
Oh man, a Franciscan monastery. Yeah, it's beautiful. It's got basically all the replicas of the sites in the Holy Land. Mm-hmm. And I didn't go to the Holy Land until after, I believe. Yeah, after it was my 10th anniversary.
Okay.
And so I went afterwards, and then I went back into that monastery, and I'm like, now I see all the places.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, this is a replica of everything. Wow. And those friars there are amazing. The historical, those are the friars of the Holy Land.
So this is the Franciscan Monastery of the Holy Land in America. That's the official name of it. And those are the Franciscans who are also... The Franciscans are the guardians and the caretakers of the Holy Land.
100% go there. Like, what a prayerful spot.
Yeah.
And then there's this... there's a monastery for the Sisters of St. Clair down the street. If you ever want to go to adoration with contemplative nuns, they're on the other side of the wall because they're, what do they call that, cloistered?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you can hear them praying and singing as you're adoring
beautiful.
our Lord. It's really a beautiful place.
What was really cool is that like the measurements of this church are the exact same measurements as the Holy Sepulchre.
Wow.
So there's a Calvary shrine. You have to climb upstairs, and it's the same height in relationship to the altar. Mm-hmm. So the altar would be the Holy Sepulchre, where where Christ was buried, but then there's a shrine, the Calvary shrine, that you have to walk up the stairs, and it's the same distance and it's the same height up.
Wow.
Then they have these
same amount of steps.
Yeah, same amount of steps. It's really cool.
Very powerful.
They have these beautiful gardens you can walk around. They have a Purgatory Chapel, which is really
it's
cool.
so beautiful. Yeah. They do have a very nice multimedia presentation there in the lobby. It also has the Nativity, and that thing is just spot on, just like the Nativity in Palestine. Is it Palestine? Yeah, like Nazareth.
Yep.
They also have the Annunciation, I believe, somewhere in there. No, they don't. They don't have the Annunciation.
They have the
Dormition. Is it Dormition?
They have the Bethlehem Shrine. I think it's the Dormition.
Yeah, the Dormition.
Now, what's really cool, they have a hermitage on the grounds there behind there. So if you want to do a personal retreat, like even if you're in the Washington, D.C. area, you can go and feel like you're in nature in a private house on these grounds. It's a one-person thing. It's got a kitchen. It's got an outdoor deck, and you go there and you pray. On 42 acres in the middle of Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
That's and then you can go to the church. You can walk through the beautiful flower gardens.
Wow.
Really cool site when we went there.
Yeah, and while you're there,
you're in Washington, D.C.
we might as well mention walking distance, although it's not recommended.
You shouldn't walk there.
is the Basilica of the Immaculate Conception.
Oh, yes.
Where our country consecrated, our bishops consecrated our country to Our Lady.
Yeah.
Under the title of Immaculate Conception. And that church, when I lived in D.C., I was there very often.
It's the biggest church in the whole Western Hemisphere.
Yeah.
It's huge.
It's
massive.
Beautiful. And it's got that mean Jesus, like with the eyes.
Jesus
like,
is
he's
ripped.
like looking at you like, boy, I'll cause a fire somewhere. I hope you're not in it. I hope you're not in this fire about to cause, man.
What's really cool about the Basilica is the grotto and the shrines underneath.
The
grottos
crypt.
and
Yeah,
the crypt.
the crypt, yeah.
And then they have all the national chapels because America is a country of immigrants, right? There's people from all different nationalities. So they have a little chapel for all of the nationalities that make up America.
Yeah.
Like I got to celebrate
Black Madonna, Our Lady of Japan or something, Japanese lady.
I got to celebrate Mass in the Slovenian chapel there, which is really cool. But they have an Italian, a Polish, and this and that.
And they also have like artifacts of popes that came there, the crowns or the
that's
tiaras.
You cannot miss that. It was the last time that a pope wore the old school tiara was Pope Paul VI. And after Vatican II, he sold that, stopped wearing it, and then it got sold, and then it got rebought by the Basilica. But you can see the papal tiara there.
Wow.
But then all the different artifacts.
The chairs they sat in.
Yeah, for their trips to America. Very cool.
Yeah,
site.
and the thing is like for the Pro-Life Week, the March for Life, it's just packed with people. The music there is just to die for. It's just so beautiful. Yeah. The organ. And then they've got this like beautiful, what do they call it when it's like impressed on? It's a style of sculpture. It's like inlaid,
like a frieze.
I don't know. It's like an inset type thing, and it's got the Holy Spirit coming out, and it's got all the American saints, and it's just like a really, really beautiful place. The artwork there is magnificent. As well.
I guess one more place while you're in Washington, D.C., is the JP2 Shrine there.
Yep, that's across the street.
That's beautiful. Very powerful.
Yeah.
Washington, D.C. got a lot of good sites. I mean, so the JP2 Shrine there, I think that's in kind of relation with the Knights of Columbus, right?
Yep.
And it's just a shrine to Pope John Paul II.
Yes.
A lot of cool things there.
A lot of cool things happening there while you're up there.
Yep. I think they have a relic of his there.
Yep.
Definitely somewhere you can check out. I mean, there's also Georgetown. There's a lot of cool.
We talked
Catholic
about
sites
going
there.
to DC.
We were going to, right?
Because there's so much there.
Yeah.
And there's the Basilica, I believe, of the Holy Family. That would be the Ukrainian rite or Eastern rite right there. Another beautiful church. This is all walking distance.
You wouldn't think all those would be in Washington, D.C., but it's amazing. They are.
Well, it's the capital of the most powerful country that's ever existed. The
are.
church has got to have a presence. The USCCB is there.
There.
You're not going to go there.
You got to get a card or something, a visitor tag.
But up the road, Emmitsburg, Maryland. Mm-hmm. So this is another place. That's the National Shrine of St. Elizabeth and Seton.
Absolutely.
Another really
and the home
beautiful.
of a very large seminary for educating Catholic kids.
Yeah, that would be the Mount St. Mary.
Mount
and
St.
they
Mary.
have that big statue of Mary up in the mountains.
Yes.
And there's the story of how they could not light it anymore because of the budget. They just didn't have enough money, and so they stopped lighting it. And the U.S. government called and said, "What did you guys do with that?" Yeah. Well, Camp David or one of those camps is around there, and they would use that as a point of location and navigation to get in. So they ended up paying for that to be lit because it was the president's helicopter or something was coming through there.
That's crazy. I've never heard
And
that.
they're like, "Hey, we'll light up Mary
That
for
says
you."
something most people know.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Mount St. Mary. It's a great seminary.
It is.
So yeah, the Shrine of Elizabeth Ann Seton, she's the first American-born saint. She's the first American saint. You know.
Yeah.
So that's a really cool site to go to. It's a beautiful.
I mean, this is all the stuff we were going to do on our trip.
Yeah. Maybe we should do that trip eventually.
I know we should. It's an easy one to do.
Inexpensive.
Then there's St. Matthew's Cathedral, and that cathedral is obviously very historic too. But there's this place where JFK was like laid to rest, or like his coffin was there, and they put this brick there and said this is where. And I always thought that was weird, you know, like okay, all right, you know, so.
So let's take a look at a couple other. You know, you're talking about the one that you like. A lot of people go to vacation to Orlando. It's a vacation capital, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are some sites that you can do there? And you mentioned the one that you like to go to, which is the Basilica, the National Shrine of Mary, Queen of the Universe.
Queen of the Universe.
That's cool.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of beautiful light. The reason why I found it is because I was there, I believe, at a conference or I was working or something, and I looked up the mass times nearby, and this one came up, and I went into it. So I started walking around it, and there's the most beautiful statue of St. Joseph and Jesus in a workshop, the gaze that he has on Jesus. I mean, it was just very moving to me. And it is a tourist spot.
It was built to accommodate Catholics going down there that couldn't find a church, you know, and they were asking for that. So it's very convenient.
It's right there.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know that it's like a deeply spiritual place.
It's just why you're there.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
And, you know,
But a lot of people come together to pray. I mean, it holds over 1,000 people.
And the fact that tourism supported the building of this church.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it was not, wasn't an initiative of the diocese as such. It was an initiative of the tourism coming there and saying, we need a church, and then the diocese allowing them.
It is a very beautiful place.
To raise money. But it is a beautiful place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's another one. The Shrine of the Divine Mercy in Stockbridge, Massachusetts.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
You been there?
I have been there.
What's it like?
It's not terribly fancy. It's like laid out over a lot of property, but it's all dedicated to Divine Mercy. And you know, you could, if you go there, they do the novena of the chaplet. They do the chaplet at 3:00 every afternoon, and all sorts of prayers built around that. But it's a very, very powerful spiritual site to go to. And it's at a place where you never really expect a shrine.
And that's where, like, I think one of the commissioned images of the Divine Mercy is held.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The one that we use is the one in most churches.
Right.
There's a really cool one, and I've actually talked to these people. The Shrine of St. Thérèse in Juneau, Alaska.
Okay.
Whoa.
Wow.
Yeah, it is a really, really great looking church. It's in the wilderness.
Which St. Thérèse?
St. Thérèse of Lisieux.
Okay.
You know, and it's right there on the water, and it's kind of built. It's got this natural look to it. If you're ever, I guess a lot of these things are. Look, if you're on vacation and you want to add a really cool stop to it, you can. So if you're ever up in Alaska, maybe doing a cruise or something like that, because I know it's a really popular trip.
That's crazy that they would put a shrine there of her.
Right.
I wonder what the history there is.
I think she might be maybe the patron
saint.
of the diocese or whatever, but they have a station at the Cross Hiking Trail. They have a biblical garden, Marian garden. A lot of really cool stuff here to check out. But it's such a beautiful location, and the church looks ancient.
It looks French, too.
Yeah, it does look very French. That's a very cool thing.
1932. They started it. Amazing.
Yep.
Amazing.
All right, the next one I want to talk about, this is pretty cool. It's the Loretto Chapel. Have you ever heard this story? It's where they had these sisters there, and they hired some worker, right? Okay, here's what their site says. When the Loretto Chapel was completed in 1878, there was no way to access the choir loft 22 feet above. Carpenters were called in to address the problem, but they all concluded access to the loft would have to be via a small ladder, as a staircase would interfere with the interior space of the small chapel. Legend says that to find a solution, the sisters of the chapel made a novena to St. Joseph, the patron saint of carpenters. On the 9th and final day, a man appeared at the chapel with a donkey and a toolbox looking for work. Months later, the elegant circle staircase was completed, and the carpenter disappeared without pay or thanks. After searching for the man, they even ran an ad in the newspaper, and finding no trace of him, some of them concluded that it was St. Joseph himself who had built the staircase. The staircase has 2 360-degree turns and no visible means of support. And it's said that the staircase was built only with rails, without nails, only wooden pegs. So there's no nails. Doesn't really look like how you can support it.
And all the wood's curved.
All the
so
wood's
none
curved,
of the wood
yeah.
is like straight. It's all perfectly manicured and curved.
How high is the staircase?
22 feet?
Yeah, 20 feet. And the amazing thing about this is the more the miraculous nature is the wood is a certain wood that's not found anywhere near there.
Wow.
It's only found in the Holy Land. It's a spruce, I believe, or something like that. So they looked at all this stuff, and like I remember crying, like because it's such a beautiful place. It's miraculous. There's no question about it. The fact that anybody could build a staircase like that with wood from somewhere else that is suspended in this way, and then so many attempts to try to reinforce it failed. Right.
Yeah.
So they tried to put up a railing. They tried to put up, all that stuff failed. So it's almost like this thing is just like rejecting any, thing you're putting onto it.
I mean, did they still use it for people to go up to the top?
They don't use it. It sadly has become a tourist destination, and the religious order there in the 70s just sort of let it go and have in fact denied its spiritual nature. And
I think the religious order isn't even there.
it's not even there. The diocese didn't buy it. Santa Fe diocese didn't buy it. So this guy bought it, and then he built a hotel next door. So it is not a place of deep prayer. It's very unfortunate. Again, it was a cause for a lot of my own grief because I'm like, this is such a special thing.
You called me when you were there. You're like,
this is
what
messed
the hell,
up,
dude?
I'm like, I was so mad
Yeah, I
and
remember
angry. Just like, how did it get like this?
Wow. So they charged to look at it, and
Yeah, it's really disappointing.
Yeah.
But again, I think if you, like me, can see beyond some of this stuff and just go and look at it,
Yeah.
it is a miraculous staircase.
that's amazing. I'd love to see it.
It's a miraculous staircase. There's some videos on YouTube about it too that are pretty interesting, but the gift shop and the documentation of the events and all this is completely eradicated. And if anything, they've made great links to try to convince you that this is just a staircase.
Why would they do that?
Because they're just, there's just people that live their lives of faith like that.
Yeah, but
where-
why
It
would
was
they?
like when we went to that monastery in France where St. Dominic got the rosary, and they're like, yeah, that never happened.
Yeah.
And I was like,
yeah, it did.
Yeah, it did,
Yeah, it
dude.
did.
Yeah,
it
that
did
was-
happen. And you live here.
yeah.
And you're just letting this place go.
Yeah, and
Right.
that
Yeah.
was the weirdest stop on any pilgrimage we ever went.
Although
Yeah.
that was the best mass I felt the whole time. I loved
Yeah.
it.
That cold one?
Yeah.
Oh, it's freezing. So we're
loved
talking
it,
about, I think it's called Prouilly, France, which is the site where
Yeah.
St. Dominic got the rosary from Mary, and the church is in just disrepair.
Yeah.
There's only a few nuns.
terrible.
They were very gracious, and they made very nice
Yeah.
food, but yeah. I digress.
Okay,
Yeah,
but
in the
it's
same
okay to
vein.
digress every once in a while.
Right.
Yeah. We do that a lot.
Did you ever make it out to the Mother Cabrini Shrine when you were in Colorado?
I did.
Tell us about
Another
that.
very powerful place. Well, I set up the expeditions with my wife and the guys.
Yeah.
I was not able to go because of Jen's surgery. But she allowed me to go out to the women's retreat to be with Father Kevin to make sure things were going okay for a couple days. And I personally had a amazing experience there. You can climb all the way up to it's all dedicated to the Sacred Heart of Jesus. The property,
Right there in I-70, right?
yeah, right.
So the Mother
yeah,
Cabrini
right
Shrine
by the
in
Red Rock
Golden,
Amphitheater.
Colorado?
Morrison, Golden, those areas. But there was Mother Cabrini bought it for pennies on the dollar because the ranchers couldn't find water there. And so she had orphanages in Denver for Italian immigrants that were being mistreated and the kids losing their children because they're in the mines. There's a lot of that going on in Colorado at the time, everywhere. And so she had this school and it was growing. And so she decided to look for property, found this property, got it, I think for like less than $1, and it's like 200 acres or something like that. And God told her that there was water on this place. And so she went and pointed to a place they drilled, and people still fill water up. I have some of the water from the well.
Wow.
Yeah, they've got a couple of really inexpensive places that you can stay there and pray there. We'll watch the sunrise from the top of the mountain under the Sacred Heart Chapel. And as you guys know, I was very bent out of shape, with Jen and everything. And I got a very clear message from our Lord, from, I'm sure, her intercession. But they've got her bones up at the top. They've got this massive Sacred Heart statue. You can see from very far away in Denver. It's a beautiful thing. Wow. It's lit up. It overlooks the whole city. Beautiful place, and one that I'll certainly go back to again. Yeah.
One that I really like, Mount St. Macrina. This is actually a Ruthenian, so Eastern Catholic pilgrimage site, and they have a big festival every year. It's a beautiful. It's kind of in the Pittsburgh area. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's founded by the Basilian sisters, but they have this beautiful chapel of the Dormition, right? Mm-hmm. We'll call it the Assumption over in the West, but in the East, they really focus on the Dormition, or they'd be falling asleep.
Right. And
the shrine there is beautiful, but it's just beautiful grounds. They have a bunch of walking paths. Definitely a place that my great aunt was a nun there back in the 50s or whatnot. Wow. But yeah, that's another really cool place.
Can you say that again? What?
Macrina.
Macrina.
Yeah.
And that's the name of the town?
No, that's the Mount St. Macrina.
Okay.
St. Macrina was Saint, I think St. Basil's sister.
Gotcha.
So here's a cool place that you can visit in America. It's the oldest church in America, right? Do you have any clue? What's your guess where the oldest church in America is?
Well, maybe
besides the Cathedral of St. Augustine.
It's older than that.
Okay.
Would that be somewhere on the California Mission Trail?
Close, and you're right. You're thinking in like the Spanish colonial. It's actually in Santa Fe, New Mexico.
Yeah.
It's a church of San Miguel Arcángel, so it's St. Michael.
Yeah.
And it's a adobe looking church. It's a really cool church, but it's been there since 1610.
Okay.
Oldest church in the continental United States. They still have mass there. It's a really cool location. So if you're ever in Santa Fe, that's a place to go. Oldest church in America.
So are the stairs in Santa Fe.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay, well now you got a nice
The holy stairs.
Yeah, you got two little stops right there.
Yeah.
But California, you said, California.
The Mission Trails.
Yes.
Mission Trails. You been on those?
Oh yeah, I've been to several of them, but they were built 45 miles apart, 40 to 45 miles apart, so a person could get on a horse in the morning and make it there in the afternoon and sleep.
Okay.
They were protection basically for people trying to move up the coast, so to speak.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah. So they're all very beautiful. Now, you went to Santa Barbara, which I think is probably the nicest one of the churches.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was their probably 12th mission or something like that. It was a later mission. But it's
Capistrano.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It's almost like a self-guided thing too. You can just hop in the car and go to the next one and then learn the history. And, it's amazing. You look at California, I mean, it was pretty much Catholic. Everything was settled as named after saints.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
The capital is Sacramento.
Yeah.
So it's got a Catholic history that's
Santa Clara, Los Angeles, San Diego, St. Juan Capistrano.
Yeah.
They're all named after the mission.
Yes.
So here's some of them. So there's the Mission Basilica of San Diego de Alcala. That's in San Diego. Yeah. There's the San Luis de Rey, which is in Oceanside. Mm-hmm. There's the Mission of San Juan Capistrano in San Juan Capistrano, where the swallows flock.
Yes.
They
left for a few years, but they're back. Yeah.
I did not know that. I only know that as a reference from Dumb and Dumber.
Yeah.
Saint Gabriel in the San Gabriel Valley. There's the Mission of San Fernando Rey, which is in Mission Hills. Old Mission San Buenaventura, which is in Ventura. Go figure.
Yeah.
Old Mission Santa Barbara in. Any guess?
Santa Barbara.
Good pick.
Yeah.
So there's the Mission Saint Inés in Solvang. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right. The Mission La Purísima Concepción de María Santísima in Lompoc. I don't know some of these names, so if I mispronounce them, Californians,
That's probably
please.
in southern, all the way down near Mexico.
Yeah, it doesn't tell me. The mission of St. Louis de Obispo, which is in San Luis de Obispo. And then it keeps going on. There's just like 21 of them.
Well, it goes the whole coast, all the way up from the top of Mexico, right up from the Mexican border, basically.
All the way up.
All the way up.
Yeah. So it looks like it goes like to Santa Cruz and Santa Clara, Fremont, San Francisco, San Rafael, and Sonoma. So all the way from San Diego to Sonoma.
Yeah, it's a long, probably about 50. How many miles would you say? 1,500 maybe?
I wouldn't say. It is 650 miles total. 30 miles apart. 21 missions.
Way past it there.
Yeah. I don't know. Do you think you can rent a horse these days and take the 30-mile trips every day? You got a place to
go. I know a lot of families that have done this. It's a very family-oriented trip.
That's a cool trip.
You want to teach them about the church and
history,
because each one of them has the history in it when you go.
Yeah, and it follows.
And they're beautiful.
It follows a chronology as well. You know, they're all pieced together when you get there.
Yeah,
you understand the context of all of their founding and.
You probably do what, 3 of them a day?
Yeah,
you probably do 3 a day and get through
3
it
or
in a week.
4. Yeah,
that's very cool.
Yeah, and they're
they're
it's
all
California.
in beautiful settings.
Yeah,
too.
I was about to say it's in California, so it's all beautiful places. San Juan Capistrano is one of my favorite.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful place
where the swallows flock. This is a really cool one that I've always wanted to visit. It's the St. Joan of Arc Chapel. This is in Wisconsin, Marquette. So it's on the Upper Peninsula, I believe.
Wow.
This was a chapel that they completely deconstructed in France, and a chapel where St. Joan of Arc herself actually prayed at.
Wow.
In France, and they deconstructed it and moved it all the way to to Marquette University.
Yeah, that was on our list of things to do for our Wisconsin trip that we never went.
So yeah,
they're starting to get there's a
trip waiting to happen.
Yeah, I mean, we've got Washington D.C., Wisconsin, and San Diego, and
New York.
And New York.
Yeah.
So we'll get to the New York ones too. Yeah. That's a really cool thing. It says the church was built in 1420. St. Joan of Arc has prayed there, and then they moved it to Marquette.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Which is not too far from the National Shrine of Our Lady of Champion, which is, to my knowledge, I'm sure there's technicalities, the only approved Marian apparition site in the United States.
Yeah.
So, I mean, we got people, we've went to Guadalupe, we've went to Lourdes, we've went to Fatima together.
Yeah.
We've done all of these. But have you ever been to this site?
Never.
It's just in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a Marian apparition site right there.
Is it near, do you think it's near the shrine of Our Lady Guadalupe, which we'll probably get into as well?
So it's in New Franken, Wisconsin, which is
A little ways.
I don't know. See, this is how little I know about it. It's in Green Bay.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
About an hour drive, probably.
Yeah. So what's the one you want to talk about?
Any history on when the Blessed Virgin appeared there? Or?
So yeah, let me. I'll tell you that. Here's the story. So, Adele Brice was born in Belgium in 1831. At a young age, she suffered an accident that left her blind in her right eye. And she was a very cheerful and pious and simple young girl. Upon receiving her first communion, Adele and a few close friends promised to the Blessed Virgin Mary that they would devote their lives to becoming religious teachers in Belgium. However, this promise grew difficult when her parents moved her to America with the other Belgian settlers at the time. Mm-hmm. After seeking advice from her confessor, she was told to be obedient to her parents, and she assured her that the Lord willed her to become a teacher and a sister, even if she went to America. While walking in the woods, Adele saw a lady dressed in white standing between two trees believed to be a maple and a hemlock. Although the mysterious woman stayed silent, it left Adele wondering what sort of encounter it may have been. When Adele told her family, they believed her, but thought perhaps it was a soul in purgatory visiting her. A few days later, on October 9th, 1859, Adele walked to Mass with her sister and a friend, and the church was 10 miles from home. But Adele made the journey every Sunday, no matter the weather. Along the path, Adele saw the same mysterious lady standing in the same spot between the two trees. However, Adele being the only one to see her, she and her companions continued on to Mass. After Mass, Adele spoke to the parish priest and instructed her to ask her the question, "In God's name, who are you and what do you want of me?" So then she went back and saw her, and the lady replied, I am the Queen of Heaven who prays for the conversion of sinners, and I wish you to do the same. You received Holy Communion this morning, and that is well, but you must do more. Make a general confession and offer communion for the conversions of sinners. If they do not convert and do penance, my son will be obliged to punish them. So, and then it goes on, but yeah, this is a really powerful Marian
Mom
apparition.
caring for her kids, man.
Yeah.
You know?
It sounds a lot like the appearance in Lourdes.
Yeah,
it
what
does.
she went through.
Yep.
Yeah.
So that's the only approved Marian apparition site in the United States. So
Yeah.
we should learn more about it and try to get up there sometime.
That's right.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's always a big source of spiritual guidance and transformation. World famous painted churches. Have you guys ever heard of those? I went on this.
Okay, what is it?
It's in Texas, Schulenburg, Texas.
Okay.
So these are some of the images of these churches right here.
Oh, wow.
So there's four or five churches that were built in the 1800s by German and Czech immigrants.
Okay.
It's about an hour and a half outside of Houston, Texas.
Wow.
They are, from the outside, they look pretty normal. When you go on the inside, they're magnificent. I mean, the artwork in these things are just beautiful, stained glass windows. They've all been preserved from their original, state in the mid 1800s.
And they're all how close to each other? The same area?
I'd say about an hour. You probably go to five, 6 churches in an hour drive. And if you go there for the beginning of Lent, right, they have this parade, and it's by the Catholics and also the Protestants. So these towns get together and they throw a parade and they do a live Easter. They basically walk you through the story of the Passion, Death, and Resurrection. And it is unbelievable. I mean, it's the most coolest small town American thing you can ever lay your eyes on. The whole town is lit up in Schulenburg. And so we went on the painted churches trip, and then we went to this, amazing festival. It was really cool. Schulenburg, Texas, painted churches.
Sounds awesome.
Beautiful.
So jumping back to Wisconsin real quick. So the church that's by the site of the apparition is also the National Shrine of St. Joseph. So that's the only national
Near
shrine.
the apparition site?
No, yeah. So that's in the Green Bay area as well. So that's and that's connected with the Norbertines, who are a great religious
Oh,
order.
yes, they are.
Yeah.
But they have daily mass, and they have. It's focused on St. Joseph, which is the only national shrine to St. Joseph in America.
That's cool.
And then the one that you mentioned, the Our Lady of Guadalupe Shrine in Wisconsin, that's all the way on the other side of the state. That's on the border with Minnesota, which is the Shrine of Our Lady of Guadalupe, which is really, really beautiful site. Also, it looks like that's also celebrated with the Norbertines.
Yeah.
And it was founded by Cardinal Burke.
Cardinal Burke spends a lot of time there still.
Yeah.
That place is very near and dear to his heart, getting up there in age too.
Yeah. They have a lot of first-class relics there. They have Miguel Pro, Kateri Tekakwitha, Teresa of Lisieux, Peregrine, Maria Goretti, Faustina, Gianna Mola.
Wow.
So they got a lot of really cool relics there.
Yeah, that's a pretty powerful place.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
That's the St. Anthony Chapel in Pittsburgh, the largest collection of relics anywhere in the world besides the Vatican.
Wow.
Just in Pittsburgh, just church, chilling.
Chilling.
Yeah, chilling.
Just
It's
chilling.
amazing the things that we have in this country. That,
Yeah.
And I want to make sure, like all you people listening, make sure you're leaving in the comments the sites that we're leaving off, because there's no way we can cover all of these.
That's
true.
Because there's all these great local things. Like I know there's the ones that are local to me, the Our Lady of Lourdes Shrine in Euclid, and there's in Cary, there's the largest statue of Our Lady of Guadalupe. There's a lot.
There's that one in Montana or Wyoming. Where's Montana? They put this massive statue of Our Lady up there.
Was it like the Our Lady of the Continental Divide or something like
Our
that?
Lady of the Rockies? No. Is that Our Lady of the Rockies? Yeah. That was pretty cool. Great story. Simple. It always starts so simple with just simple people.
Tell that story, because I think I know the guy that put that up. How long ago was it?
It's the 4th largest statue in the United States, and it's the tallest statue of Mary in America. And it's Our Lady of the Rockies.
Yeah.
90 feet tall statue.
Yeah.
Is it right next to? Because I've got a good friend who went to Medjugorje, and he came back and he was putting statues in churches, and then he built a large statue along the highway out there. I don't know if it's the same one or not.
So this says the story begins with Bob O'Bill. Bob O'Bill.
Bob O'Bill.
Bob O'Bill.
Billy Bob.
Bob O'Bill in Butte, Montana.
Okay, that's
It's
not
Butte,
it.
Montana, but it's Bob O'Bill, who envisioned the project after his wife was diagnosed with cancer. He was an electrician who prayed for his wife to be healed, promising to erect a nearly life-size statue of the Blessed Mother in return, right in his backyard. When his wife made a sudden and miraculous recovery from cancer, O'Bill was so thrilled that his plans expanded from a 5-foot statue to a towering 90-foot monument to the Virgin Mary.
That's beautiful.
According to their website, Our Lady of the Rockies took 6 years to complete, requiring 400 pounds of concrete and a sky crane. Yeah, very cool. Largest statue of Our Lady.
Dang.
I'd love to go. I'd go out there just to look at that.
Well, I'm thinking
Right
about
there.
making a deal with God now on Jen's cancer now.
Yeah, that
I'll
sounds
build a
powerful.
statue. That'll be fun.
Yeah, Bob O'Bill de la Crosse is going to build a 92-foot tall statue
In Butte, Montana.
in Butte, Montana. That's
Gosh.
That's a cool place.
Yeah.
There's also I don't know, have you ever been to the shrine of the North American Martyrs in New York?
Yes,
No.
What's that like?
I haven't been there, but I've read about it.
Okay.
Oh.
So that's the shrine where
Takatawita?
no, there's a Tekakwitha shrine up there too, but this was like the Jesuit missionaries were all
Oh,
killed
that's right.
by the Native
They
Americans.
cut his
up there.
his fingers off and
Cut
he
his
went
fingers
back.
off. They cut his eyes out. They put hot coals in his eyesight. I mean, it was pretty brutal.
Torturous.
But these were like real hardcore martyrs up in
Yeah.
upstate New York. That's a really
Yeah.
cool shrine as well.
Yeah.
Well, Jogues he came over and they cut off a few of his fingers. He went back to Paris, and then he begged his superiors to let him come back, and that's when they flayed him. Oh, wow! And the second time around.
Wow.
Oh, what a
Second time around. So the National Shrine of the North American Martyrs is in Orisville. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, New York. And it's dedicated to the 3 Jesuit missionaries who were martyred by the Mohawks in 1642 and 1646. Wow. Beautiful church. The shrine, really important, I think, martyrs. Their stories are gruesome, but like really, really
Well, yeah, they
inspiring.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of going back, we could probably talk about Stanley Rother's new
That's right.
Yeah.
shrine too as well. He went back to Guatemala
Yeah.
and felt called to go back to Guatemala to serve the community there. Beautiful community in Guatemala. And, you know, they had this war. There was a lot of violence. People were getting killed. Christians were being persecuted. Bishops were being murdered. And then he went back and he said, I feel called to go back. And they said, you're crazy. He's like, I feel called to go back. And he goes, and he was himself martyred. One of the first American-born saints, I think.
Yeah.
He would be the first American-born male saint.
Yeah, in the United States.
Yeah.
And so his shrine is massive.
Yeah.
It's in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
right?
Oklahoma. That's right.
Where he was born.
Yeah, very.
Well, he was in that diocese where the shrine is. Oklahoma City, I think it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. You've kind of been there, so we're going to go. You know, we've been on the continental United States, except for when we talked about Juneau. But there is St. Damien shrine.
Oh, yes.
In Hawaii.
But yeah, I flew
Damien
over
and
it.
Molokai.
I flew over it, you know, because it's in a very remote spot. And the only way is to get there by, mainly I mean, if you're going to get there in a decent time, a helicopter or a boat. But the story is just beautiful. There's that movie too about it, and it's just like this guy's like giving his life to these dudes, like these people, and they're like
Treating him
saying
pretty
he's
bad.
Yeah, you know, they're saying all these horrible things about him. I mean, I can't imagine like giving your life to so many people and putting your life in harm's way, and to do so.
After a while, they came to love him.
Yes,
Yeah,
just
so-
like
You know,
every
especially- I mean,
saint
he
story.
He finally got leprosy himself.
Yeah.
And then spent the rest of his life.
Yeah.
But those people were treated horribly. I mean, the boats would come up, and
Just dump
drop
'em in the
food
water.
off like a mile out, and they'd have to swim out to get it. You know, it was really
Yeah, so for people who don't know, St. Damien was a Belgian missionary who went and volunteered to be the priest to a leper colony.
yeah.
And this is before there's a cure for leprosy. And this was on a secluded island, Molokai, Molokai, right, in Hawaii. And they would just take everyone with leprosy and plunk them there and let them die.
Yeah.
And they would just drop off. And this priest said, well, they need spiritual care. And he volunteered to go there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. I mean,
But he brought peace to a community of chaos. I mean,
100%.
Everybody was just protecting themselves, staying away from each other, and he just created a city out of it. And,
Yeah.
you know, churches built.
Yeah.
and
Yeah, they were
everything.
basically like castaways living
Yeah.
on like a feral island. Just
Yeah.
go there and die. And he created a real community, and that his churches are still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very beautiful and inspirational site.
He's a wonderful saint too,
yeah.
just to consider, you know.
Very powerful.
Another site that you can go to, I think that you can get a really great experience, and it's a totally free site, is if you go to CatholicTalkShow.com/Hallow.
Oh, really? Tell us about that.
I will. Hallow is the #1 Catholic prayer app in America.
Yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
look, while you're on these pilgrimages and all these trips, you could be using this app to prepare yourself for prayer. But Hallow is a really great use of technology to bring prayer into your modern life, where technology usually distracts us.
Yeah.
You know, technology is frankly probably holding us down for the most part.
It is so dumb.
It is so dumb. You are so dumb.
You are so dumb.
But Hallow, the guys over there, they created this app using, you know, technology that's familiar to people, but to a higher and elevated purpose. So you could do things like your night prayers, your examines, you know, Bible in a year with Mike Schmitz. You have
Nighttime aids,
mass
chanting,
preparation.
mass preparation for kids.
Yeah.
It's for the kids.
For the kids,
Yeah.
it's for the children.
Yeah, I just got done with the Lent 40 day.
That was excellent.
I was just blown away, man. Like just surrender prayer and all the stuff that my wife
Yeah.
and I've been doing. It's just like all there, you know.
Well, you know, we had 80 men men and women participating in Exodus 90, and the women's portion. I'm trying to think of what it's called, but it's but you know, we would meet with them at the cathedral, you know, twice a week. But they all got involved with not only with Exodus 90, which is quite a program, but they were also doing Hallow at the same time. That's
right.
Yeah.
The Lenten Hallow.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and
Yeah, I
Hallow's
wish it didn't go away. I'd like to revisit some of those meditations.
Yeah.
There's some great imaginative prayer in it.
yeah.
Yeah. And look, they always have new things depending on the season. They have different prayer challenges. They have different things that help you just, you know, to pray. Very simple. So again, if you go to CatholicTalkShow.com/Hallow, and I mean, we use this app. I literally use this app every day. Ryan, I know you use it all the time,
Yep.
every day.
Yeah.
You can try it out for free and see if this is an app that can really help you to
yeah.
pray. I mean, you got nothing to lose and everything to gain.
They've got everything on there that you need.
It's amazing.
Beautiful.
So let's see. You can pray the Rosary and Anima Christi with Mark Wahlberg. You can pray the Bible in a year with Mike Schmitz. Discover the Saints and Hear the Voices with John Paul II and Mother Teresa. Jeff Kamens, Jonathan Rumi, Sister Miriam. I mean,
they're just missing us.
really? Are they missing us? Are they missing us?
No, they're not missing us.
Does Kevin James have anything on there? He's an extremely active Catholic.
I don't think so.
He just did a stand-up.
Yeah.
He's on a stand-up tour right now. It's pretty funny stuff.
But he's a daily communicant.
Yeah. Yeah, he has retreats at his house.
Yeah.
So I guess we should list that as Kevin James's house.
Yeah,
as a place
it's
everyone go.
it's a site.
Everyone's
yeah.
going to show up and be like, dude, the guys from the Catholic Talk Show said we can just show up.
Here's his address, guys. It's in the comment.
There's the Norbertine, the new Norbertine shrine.
I was going to mention that in Silverado,
Yeah.
California.
Beautiful place.
It's really
The
nice.
Norbertines know how to do it, man.
I want to say they raised almost $100 million.
I think you're right.
You know, and when I went there
St.
last,
Michael's Abbey.
St. Michael's Abbey.
Yeah.
When I went there last, they didn't have any artwork on the wall. It was kind of like, you know, brutal. Like, you know, it was great. And then so now they're installing all the artwork.
Yeah.
And it's just a magnificent place of prayer. And it's got that, like, you know, when you go into a monastery,
Yeah.
you have that like mystical feel. Like, I don't
Just
know, there's
everything's
some
all smoky.
leftover smoke.
Yeah.
And the
Well, the people that
mass.
also need a shout out are the Benedictines that came over in the 1800s
It's settled there.
and settled throughout the country. I mean, St. Meinrad and Southern Indiana is a very big one.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. They built it themselves. This beautiful church.
The monks did.
And then up in St. John's University, that's the Benedictine monastery. But they're all over the country.
Wow.
And these men came over from Germany and just founded these monasteries.
Yeah. Another amazing historical component of our faith here.
Yeah.
And look, these were a bunch of sites, and we just kind of went through a bunch of places that you could visit, but that is not even counting the different basilicas and cathedrals you can go to. Like
Savannah Cathedral. really cool.
Savannah Cathedral's amazing.
St. Patrick's.
St. Patrick's.
The cathedral in St. Louis is mind-blowing.
Magnificent.
I think St. Patrick's in New York gets more visitors than anybody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So support these places, right?
Yeah.
Because they rely on people going there and donations and gift shops.
Right.
And it's a great thing to do with your family. So, support these local places. for
Yeah,
sure.
and I would also say, like, before you go, do some research on the place. Try to understand a lot about its founding, its history, the saints that are, related to it. All this sort of brings a lot of color to you when you go, and it allows for a deeper, more meaningful spiritual experience.
Yep. So, look, if you're planning your vacation coming up, look at one of these places and consider adding this as a stop on your vacation. So, in between all the fun and everything, I think your family will appreciate
A wonderful thing
a
for the
spot
family.
within the vacation.
If you're going to Breckenridge or Aspen or any of those places, stop by the Cabrini Shrine on the way out of Denver.
That's right. Yeah.
Or if you're just looking for something to do or looking for a devotion, find this. And then again, please let us know in the comments below what places we missed, what other places you'd recommend, because there's so many of them that there's no way that we could ever get to all of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. But really great.
Makes you want to get out there.
It does.
Makes you want to get out there, Tetlow.
I just want to go do a road trip right now.
Dude, let's get in the car and let's just go.
Let's go.
All right, let's go. All right, we'll see you next week, or maybe not. We might still be on the
We
road.
might be filming from somewhere else next time.
See what I started. See you next week.